Ranjan Jave Saso Male Bangandu Jayan Jave Zedra Seja Gwele Ngwanje Yeje Na Ngwanje Danje Lame Thona Dajan Dujan Dabe Sende Na Ganje Ngomboy Dinzen Janzo Gozu Meche Geja Randu Je Shende Lenje Trobara Jinje Che Yang Gwaze Che Da Nyanyo Be De Den De Je Ye Je Jemi Ramen De Non Tembe Jogo No Jave Ye Na La So Nanje Ando Jon Rambe Sende Na Ganje Ngombo Dinzen Janzo Gozu Meche Geja Randu Je Shende Lenje Trobara Jinje Bondo Yenden Lenzo Chanle Je Nawan Dogon Jazo Danze Benzen Dojo Ngawa La Ye La Ranjan Dozon Jawa Nanje Najan Dojo Ndabe Sende Naga Chen Ngombo Denzen Jazo Gozo Meche Geja Rade Je Shende Lenje Droba Jenje Jede Sole Gange Ngende Je Jodo Jawan Naja Nembo Same Meyo Gazan Give Be Tezon Dambe Je Zono Naya Dojo Dabe Sende Na Gaje Ngombo Denze Jazo Gozo Meche Geja Rade Je Shende Lenje Drobara Jenje Sebe Trugu Nyala Jeba Ve Dede Ngweson Jave Yeshe Nandara Doje Dila Meche Bore Droba Be Gene Nanje Daja Dusho Trabe Sende Na Gaje Ngobo Dinze Jazo Gozo Meche Geja Rade Je Shende Lenje Droba Jenje Naje Jangda Neyo De Do De Do Nyanja Rebe Zenyo Nenjo Lanson Drola Dronze Be Neson Bawo Kande Zona Naja Dusho Dabe Sende Naga Chengombo Dinze Jazo Genjara de je shende lenje drobara chenje ala daje change gada jaje do mende rebe de do nyengwe ne tenda dinze shove doje yeje shende denzon jazo la daja dojo dabe sende Kanje ngombo dinze jazo ye guze meshe kejara de Jende Lenje Trobara Jenje Alo Deda Lume Jaju Jona Shanda Nyene Gube Seda Do Meze Nyebe Songarana Nazo Ranjon Dewe Majebo Ngawo Lo San Dinze Jazu Sazo Meje Menjura Meno Vajashe Yonde Doje Nyebo Gyabo Jazu Yeme Dade Ranja Jawa Gunje Zebe Nyendo Chabar Sube Labje Je Chale Gombe Nebo Nyebo Shaboy Jishin Lenji Drujuruji Dedan Zode Gizan Nangi Lejing Geson Jedo Dade Jodo De Jodo Ganarana Geze Siji Zemo Jijuruji Chana Beme Jelo Deze Nazo Nige Zome Dame Je Gaje Drube Jebe Ranin Gonzon Shijo Jazo Darje Jo Minjo Siji Jabe Jelo Dende Lova Membe Demba Don Dagi Lazan Dabe Dodo Membe Dengon De La Nyando Jo Ejize Lami Guze Radeje Nanga Dele Jojo Jeba Lozan Debe Deme Sazon Je Debe Meseda Joro Jazon Gonde Lama Doji Kala Gonde Shinye Zizane Jodo Tomo Ngodo Zede Jeje Lama Nala Jebambe. Bade Zazon Dove Maje Bodado Yonja Lana Mem Jawa Gale Labe Doji Jendame Lama Jola Jebambe.
So please have tea and daisy. So today is special, as you know. This marks the His Holiness the Congressional Gold Medal, October 17th, 2007. I remember it was evening time for us in South India at Gaden. This was broadcast in our debate courtyard, and we all gathered and we were eagerly waiting for the broadcast to start, and then eventually it started, and I think this was broadcast on VOA, Voice of America, and His Holiness the acceptance speech read from the letter, and everybody, was overjoyed to see His Holiness, of course, and so I thought perhaps here to remind all of us gathered here of His Holiness's lifetime commitment. As you know, that His Holiness always shares with us that as a human being, His Holiness is dedicated to promoting our values, human values, warm-heartedness, and then human values such as compassion, tolerance, and contentment, and really this universal responsibility. So this His Holiness has made it his something like a main commitment, main commitment. And then secondly, as a Buddhist monk, as a follower of Buddha Shakyamuni Buddha, then His Holiness always shares with us the importance of living in harmony living in harmony in society, and particularly among our fellow followers of different religious traditions. This His Holiness always reminds us of that, and His Holiness says that even though the different religious traditions, faiths may have different philosophical views, but are all equal in teaching us to be good human beings, to develop a warm heart. So all major religions are equal in promoting these human values. So therefore, then as followers of let us say the Buddha, then to also recognize these non-Buddhist traditions, their values, the values that they promote and that they bring and that they enrich in this society, on this planet, that they bring and spread and enrich our planet, our environment with their teachings and with their examples, great examples from all different traditions. So His Holiness always reminds us of that. And then finally, as a Tibetan and as the Dalai Lama, then His Holiness is ever so dedicated in preserving and safeguarding Tibetan culture and the Tibetan heritage, and especially the Buddhist tradition that is alive in Tibet, which is through something like the kindness of the Nalanda masters, Nalanda masters. So this His Holiness has really dedicated for that. As we can see when you visit the Tibetan monasteries in India and the settlements around the monasteries, you see how the Tibetan culture, the Tibetan identity, the Tibetan language, culture, heritage, all of that is preserved. And there are so many people who have helped in preserving this tradition, this great culture, and we have, in a way, countless beings to be thankful, and all these people, our generation before that, and then also those who came out of Tibet in 1959. If you think about it, everything they did, all the contributions that they have made on all these different levels, I think they of course, if you ask each and every one of them, then it is always there is always that motivation. There's always that motivation to fulfill the wishes of His Holiness. That has always been a motivational factor. So in this way, then His Holiness has really played this important role in preserving the Tibetan culture and the Tibetan faith and so on, like this. So this is just something that I wanted us to just to share and really to appreciate and be joyful, in His Holiness's activities, and may His Holiness live. May his activities continue to benefit countless beings forever. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So with that, I think now we have already offered mandala offering, so this is very good, and I think maybe we just go with maybe the something like the foundation of all good qualities. 아니 아주 연된 시주 마치카도 송샤나 봐. 아주 현다 게 여러베. 현다 송해야 된대. 게 유나. 노스. 아니 연된 시주 마치 송샤나.
연된 건지 든진 주진 담바는 자와로 내버려 돈네 데마도 마예 고바 첨본 담바라 징게 렌지 니빈 데베 데산네 진도 녀가 덴제 신여 녀제 건도 니보 렘벨로 겐제 멤버라 개와 징게 레소 여와 주의 제보제 녀도 집에 제와 데마 셰베 제절러던 데마제 카나레 데 치제 데와 냐보 데보 니네 니베도 차제 타와 나자 보마 Gizo nada drupa chepa la tado padan dempa chingi Chebe mengo dongye kongye go yede mero sebe benzo Nyeme rene tabi dewa la tenye chenpo jewa chingi Nanda sombo diye tenpa ye tena shishe pa ye chenpo Tembe tawa suso la drupa nyebo jeba chingi Rani sezo lawa jishe do maje drupa kongja denta Dane drupa dreve kongyo ve chancho senja jeba chingi
Semzom Gejang
Tsire nason la gomba menai chancho mendroba Lava tone jese nomba la zemba trapo lava chingi Lobe yola yawa shiji yanda tenla tsuji jeba Shenye lando sondo dreve Nyondo jela yawa chingi Tomo lanja mendo jeba na teba kongye chojo doji Kesa jewa nyawa tamba ne tela nyondo jeba chingi Deze mudro nani drube Nanda nanze domba songwa la jama memba nyeba nyeyo Sona donde songwa jingi la dene jili nyeba rini
Nenam Jishin
Done zamba ye neje neje chole meyo wa Nambe sonshin droba jingi Tenlara lansan dembe shinye no Tsushin drobe drona shade Chena nangi pado shime zo Nyewa chewa chingi laudu Kyawa kwando yanda lama na Teme shige pela lonji Sada lanji yende razo ne Doji changi go Nyando yejo
Mende Moho Sangye Chedang
Soje chena la chanjo bado dane jasoje Dagi chinye jebe sonange Drala meje sangye dropa sho
Sangye
Chena soje chena la chanjo bado dane jasoje Dagi chinye jebe sonange Drala meje sangye dropa sho
Sangye
Chena soje chena la chanjo bado dane jasoje Dagi chinye jebe sonange Drala meje sangye dropa sho
Da gen tsin no bon da gen kun jong su dem ni ya peju nas So yesterday going through the definite good or highest good, liberation. Liberation. What is liberation? Liberation, nirvana, moksha, right? So what is liberation? And then I think liberation is the emptiness of having ceased mental afflictions and their seeds. So this is liberation, emptiness in which one has ceased mental afflictions and their seeds. So this is liberation. And in explaining this, then naturally to explain emptiness, to explain liberation is to explain emptiness. And yesterday it was, I believe that these verses they were explaining emptiness from the something like establishing the reason for emptiness. In other words, then refuting, negating the alternatives, refuting the alternative to emptiness by logic, by reasoning, like that, and also using analogies. And sometimes this is what sometimes it seems explaining emptiness itself is not the difficult part, but trying to explain the reasoning for emptiness and refuting the alternatives seems to be more difficult, or I think more confusing, more confusing. When it comes to emptiness, then it seems more straightforward. It seems more straightforward. Whereas when we have to navigate through all these different reasonings, logics, rhetorics, arguments, then it seems more puzzling, right? More puzzling. Well, to me, yes. Yes. So yesterday we were at verse was it verse 46? I think we stopped at verse 57. Okay, page 86. Page 86, verse 58. Yangda chishin yong shebe medan yobar mideba tejir meba pachurna chishir yoba par minjurs. Page 86, verse 58. Asserting neither existence nor non-existence by knowing reality just as it is. If one would thereby be a nihilist, why would one not also be a realist? So this is, I think, rhetoric, right? So I think it's clear. If by knowing reality just as it is, and thereby asserting neither existence nor non-existence, if one would thereby be a nihilist, then why would one also not be a nihilist, right? Realist, sorry. realist, and what was the other one? Eternalist, right? Eternalist. I think the connection here, for example, if let us say what is the realist or eternalist view, then it would be the view, for example, the view of all phenomena having intrinsic existence. This is the eternalist view. That is a eternalist view. Why is that? Because if that view was correct, then all phenomena would have to exist permanently. Therefore, they would have to be eternal, right? So I think this is maybe the connection why we use that label eternalist. 다들은 겔데 여보 순중we 된기 되니 매버 레 대신 매버 순중we 여버 지 칠밀렌스. The next verse, 59. If the refutation of existence were to entail nihilism by implication, then why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence? Yes. So this is connected with obviously connected with the verse. If the refutation of existence were to entail nihilism by implication, then why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence? Is this clear? Okay, it's clear. If the refutation of existence, that is to say intrinsic existence, right, were to entail nihilism by implication, then why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence? Does it now make does it add more clarity? If the refutation of existence, non-existence, were to entail nihilism by implication, then why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence? So this is asking the eternalists that question, right? If the refutation of true existence were to entail nihilism by implication, then why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence? Is that clear? The second two lines. The first two lines is clear, right? The first two lines, I think, is clear. But I think maybe the second two lines is that's not so clear, right? Then why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence? So here, what does non-existence refers to? Perhaps then they would add clarity. Non-existence here refers to what? But that's like going in a circle. All right, nihilism is non-existence. What is non-existence? Oh, okay, thank you. So not even merely labeled, right? So so not even like existing on that conventional level.
Even though you see it, it really doesn't exist.
But that's so. Is that non-existence?
Well, how can you deny that we see things? Yet some people would say, even though you see it, it isn't real.
It isn't real, but that is a true statement, right?
Does anyone assert there's nothing?
Excuse me?
Does anyone have the position, there's absolutely nothing, and I pretend I don't even see anything, and there's nothing?
But nobody is saying that.
Right.
Right. So then what does non-existence here refers to?
Apparently in an impossible position.
Oh, yes, yes. So non-existence here, I think we have to talk with the base, right? So base here could be, base here could be, let us say, nirvana. Nirvana does not exist. Yeah, that is not an impossible position, right? There are tenets there are schools of thought who would take this position that nirvana does not exist, right? So that would be like non-existence here in this context.
But it's not nihilism, it's nirvana.
No, it is not. It is nihilist. It is not nirvana, because their position is that nirvana does not exist at all. Right, right. So there are certain schools of thought who takes this position that nirvana does not exist at all, right? So that would be like non-existence here. We could just put it there. So then, why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence, the denial of nirvana? Right?
By implication, is it denial of emptiness?
True, yes. But denial of emptiness, is that nihilist or realist? That is the point.
Right, it's neither. Wait, say it again.
Yeah, denial of emptiness.
That's what you're saying, it's non-existent position of
Right. So is it nihilist or is it realist?
nihilist.
It is nihilist. So then here, then the second line, the third line, then why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence? So there's a link here between realist view and the refutation of non-existence. So that's I think that was like the doubt here, right? I mean, usually one would think refutation of non-existence, right? Refutation of non-existence, yeah, that would be nihilist. Oh, that would be eternalist. Oh, right. And then the refutation of existence would be nihilist. But the existence here is, does existence here not refer to true existence? It does, right? Right? And if that is the case, then the refutation of true existence is not nihilist, or is it? Right? So
I think it depends what you're refuting, because someone who has a standpoint of following the lines along emptiness could be refuting eternalist view, but not necessarily going to the nihilistic view. But then someone who has a nihilistic view, so it depends, just by refuting eternalist view doesn't necessarily mean that it's nihilist or somebody who has a standpoint of understanding emptiness or in that direction.
I see. Yes, yes, that is true. So here in this verse 59, the first line, if the refutation of existence, so this existence, is it like existence in general, or does this existence specifically mean true existence? Yeah, that was the question.
Yeah.
So in parentheses. Yes.
I think what I'm getting is that when we refute the lack of inherent existence, it's been interpreted by the Swatantrikas that nothing exists then. And what we're saying to them then, well, if you're saying that, and you're saying that this exists then, and so then you put that shoe on saying you're believing that things truly exist.
Oh yes, thank you. Yes, yes. I think so. I think so. Yes. Yes. That's right.
Could you repeat that?
Oh, Yarbel, could you repeat that?
I'm not sure I can.
Could you make the microphone closer to your mouth?
Do what?
Like that.
The refutation I think that's happening is that we're taking and saying, as Prasangikas, we're saying that things do not truly exist. And the Swatantrikas, then they say, well, if you're saying they don't truly exist, that means they don't exist at all. And so what they're saying then, that the things truly exist. And so they've gone to put it on the shoe of being eternalist or believing that things do truly exist. And that's what he's saying here in that stanza.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Then could you give the explanation for the third and fourth line, please?
This is 59?
Yes, 59.
Well, it's that. It's if we refuted that things don't exist, and they're opposed to that, then what they're saying then is that is the opposite of that. They're buying into things that things do truly exist, and so we're putting that back to them. That if you're saying that they don't exist, if you're believing that by saying that things do not inherently exist, they're believing that what you're saying then is things that do not exist at all. And so they're saying that things exist, that things have inherent existence.
Yes, you have already said that before, but now this third and fourth line.
And why is an absolutism
Yes.
entailed? By the refutation of non-existence. I think that's what I said, isn't it?
You before you were explaining, I think the first two lines. Now the next two lines.
I go someplace else a little bit, in that it's like the Swatantrika Madhyamikas, when they say things do not truly exist, they're just saying they don't exist inherently, ultimately, because they can't believe that by saying things do not inherently exist, they can't accept that things exist dependently. And so what they're doing, then they're saying that things conventionally truly exist. It's like this microphone lacks inherent existence because it's because of causes and conditions. But once you have all those pieces together, then you have a microphone that inherently exists. And so I think this is sort of where those second two lines go to,
Oh,
something like that.
oh.
I
yes.
think I'm in trouble here over my head.
Microphone has inherent existence? That's what you're saying?
No, no, no,
Say that.
no. Okay, thank you. Entailed is like connected. Containing, right.
If A, then B, consequence.
Oh, right, right.
Needs, it might be needs, needs.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Yeah. Then why is realism not entailed by the refutation of non-existence? If the refutation of existence were to entail nihilism by implication, then why isn't absolutism entailed by the refutation of non-existence? In other words, if his refutation of inherent existence makes him a nihilist, their assertion that things exist should make them essentialists. This is the same argument as in the previous verse. The previous verse. Okay. Oh, this is very helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Nevertheless, Kanda Tungi Menidu Tami Chaching Mijula Chanju Danger Semela Teda Chidar Mebar Shes. Not actually holding nihilism as a thesis, not behaving nor thinking as nihilists, because they rely on awakening. How could they be considered nihilists? So this is referring to those on the path of liberation, I think. So this is good, I think. Chanjub Denjir Semela Teda Chida Mevarshe Kansa Pungpur Mawai Chigden Tanjin Ojuda Keme Jeba Keldishi Yume Deba Mena Ti Tijir Sangen Namgini Temba Chime Yume Deba Samo Shesheba Chugi Cuba Yinshiki Shina Dome Homejing Kiji Jani Mineva Tusum Deda Chigdini Tenda Tundu Jiwe Tams. Ask the world with its Samkhyas, Vaisheshikas and Jainas, who assert persons and aggregates, whether what they assert transcends existence and non-existence. Thus, know that the nectar of the Buddha's teaching, which transcends existence and non-existence, is the unique Dharma heritage called the profound. It neither perishes nor comes into existence. It does not endure for even an instant. It has a nature beyond the 3 times. what world like this could there actually be? So the first verse, something like in this other non-Buddhist traditions who assert persons and aggregates as having this intrinsic existence. Whether what they assert transcends existence and non-existence. 유명하겠다. So these two extremes, existence at one end and non-existence on the other end. Thus know that through the Buddha's teaching, which transcends existence and non-existence, is the unique Dharma heritage called the profound. It neither perishes nor comes into existence. It neither perishes. So, intrinsically, nor comes into existence, enduring intrinsically. It does not endure for even an instant true existence, and it has a nature beyond the three times true existence. Okay. 간지니가 양다도 저당혼다 내매바 대지지대 냥인데 된도 개발 치다보스. Really, neither the world nor nirvana come into existence, nor go out of existence, nor do they endure. So what kind of distinction could there actually be between the world and nirvana? 대지를 지된 양인데 된도 개발 치다 보스. 된도 개발 치다 보내봐 미지를 깨와다 가봐 양다니 민나 깨왔다니 내봐다 가봐 된도 칼라식스. Because there is no enduring existence, really there is neither production nor cessation. And so how can there actually be something that is produced, enduring, or ceased? So this no enduring existence, there is neither the production nor cessation. So this is, I think, like what you said yesterday. What was it? The pillar, the labeling of the pillar, and then, yesterday you made this remark about this is a pillar, and then you said it very beautifully, like it has always been a pillar and it will always be a pillar, right? So this produced, enduring, or ceased. Yes. I think it's very clear. When it comes to emptiness, it's so clear, is it not? But when it comes to all these rhetorics, then it gets little confusing. Then you have to be, what does this mean? What what is that person trying to say? And then you're using this logic, but then you would have to first understand the other's position, right? And when that is not clear, then it just gets a little confusing. But when it is worded like, there is no enduring existence, there is neither production nor cessation, that doesn't need like tons of commentaries. Neba measure kewa da kaba yanda ni mena kewa tane neba da kaba tendo kaza shiks. Kelde tawdo junu ne chidar kiju mayunga kelde chuba mena ne tendo shenye kala jur. If there is constant transformation, how could a thing be non-momentary? And if there were no transformation, how could there actually be any change? Yes. Choji kamni tamji to sebi kiji jur chana minda wani mimikchir tenam niga rikdi means. Something is momentary either because it ceases partially or because it ceases entirely. And neither of these makes sense because there is no perception of difference. 초지 감네 탐지도 세베 끼지 줄 장나 민다 와니 미믹치 tenam niga rigde means because there is no perception of difference. Okay. Yeah, this perception means such difference does not exist. I think that is what that means. There is no perception of difference. This means such difference does not exist. This difference of something that is momentary, either because it ceases partially or because it ceases entirely, and neither of this, right? Ceasing partially or ceasing entirely, neither of these makes any sense because you cannot make any distinction between these two because both of these two, they cannot exist.
They do not exist at all.
The mic?
So perhaps it could be read that an inherently existing thing does not exist at all. Therefore, it cannot either partially or entirely change. So I think if we go back to those first two verses on 50, I think it was 58 and 59. 58 and 59, we see that it could be read that asserting existence or non-existence. So when one is a realist, it implies or it perforces that one is a nihilist. So when one accepts true existence, then one will accept non-existence. Whereas when we do not accept true existence and accept dependent existence, then it transcends both nihilism and realism, or like that. So perhaps it could be read in that way.
Thank you. Thank you.
So then the following verses follow from that.
Oh.
They keep bringing that point up, that once we accept true existence, then we accept non-existence. So in a sense, I hate to use the word explicit and implicit, but perhaps most of us are explicitly realists and implicitly nihilists, because we believe in true existence, and then from that comes non-existence. So that implies that we are both realists and nihilists. And so that's...
Do we believe in true existence?
Of course.
Does anybody here, in the room here, believe in true existence? Now is the time to raise your hands. I think this true existence, what is it? In this habitual I, within that we always categorize the two. One is the spontaneously arising, and then the other is something something that is enhanced by tenets, something like that. And I think for us, who does not follow a tenet that ascribes to true existence so explicitly, then I think, of course, our challenge is more at the spontaneously arising level. Even though we do not have this, we do not have this, yes, this is not my view. We do not really make true existence as something like our focal point, or something like our axiom, something like that. We do not see it like that, right? But it arises, it is spontaneously arising, just as we say, even for animals, they also have this habitual I, right? That they also have the self-grasping, even though they do not really, even though they might not necessarily use the labels, this is me, like that, but still it is spontaneously arising in all sentient beings. So this self-grasping, it's very difficult to pinpoint, to sort of stare into the eyes of self-grasping. It is really difficult. It's like we always, it's always present, but to know it, knowing that it is present, it's not easy. It's not easy. We have to really look inwards. It's almost like we have to attain like some kind of single-pointed concentration. One of those levels, that they talk like in these bhumis. It's like we would really have to look inwards, and then only then can we then sort of have a hint of this self-grasping I, right? This habitual I. Of course, in the text it says like this, like that. But in my life, how do I see it? To be conscious of the self-grasping, to be conscious of self-grasping. This is really something I think quite challenging, quite difficult, not easy. I think as a belief, I think we are good, we try to follow in this path and to have the view as much as possible. But then in meaning, then we always have this other view within us that is spontaneously arising. That is, it's almost like our instinct. It's instinctive, and it really does a good job of hiding, of not revealing itself, something like that.
It's like the hiding among the aggregates. Yes.
Yes.
So the prescription about imagining someone accusing you of something, and the I comes out from among the aggregates where it's hiding and comes out for us to see it. And so that's the prescription in terms of, as Rinpoche well knows, to be able to pull that truly existing I out of the hiding among the aggregates, among the
yes. The theory is very clear, but when it comes out of my aggregate, then I'm in that moment, right? Again, it sort of pulls me away. As soon as I'm feeling that, then it pulls me away from this awareness, the awareness of self-cherishing.
I spent a lot of time by myself and in retreat. And instead of using anger or something, what I've found is that the feeling of loneliness is a slow-moving target. You can still examine this self-cherishing. You can still examine the self-cherishing, and it doesn't go and hide, because the loneliness is still there until one uses the proper tools of the Lama toolbox to overcome it. But it gives a great opportunity to really look at it because it doesn't move. Like if you're looking at anger, it's as soon as the anger is suddenly gone, and then the object is no longer there to examine the self-cherishing like that.
So in when solitary, then it makes it easier to be aware of this.
I don't necessarily say that. I'm just saying that being in solitude for extended period of time, from time to time, the feeling of loneliness comes up, which is a self-cherishing mind, and in that, then there's an opportunity to examine that.
Oh yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Rinpoche, I'm back here.
Oh, please.
Hi. So the way I look at this text it's not trying to tell us what is. It's trying to ask us to ask questions of, well, if you think this, then this would be the logical thing that would happen. And if you think that, then this happens. And then we're supposed to go, what? And we realize it doesn't make any sense what we're thinking, I think. No, that's how I look at it.
Oh,
It's not
yes.
trying to tell me something. It's
Oh.
trying to have me go ask a question.
Oh,
Maybe.
thank you so much. Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And that kind of goes in line with what I was thinking, that anytime we assert something, we shoot ourselves in the foot, so to speak. Because when you ask that gentleman over there, if someone denies emptiness or asserts a lack of emptiness, would they be a realist and a nihilist, or a nihilist? And the answer that popped up in my head would be there would be a realist, because by denying emptiness, you're asserting true existence. So on the ultimate level, it seems like we're always shooting ourselves in the foot, and we're trying to get away from that. That's just kind of, I think, if I'm understanding you correctly, we're kind of doing that. And on the ultimate level, yes, it makes sense logically, but like you were saying, when the loneliness arises, or you get accused of doing something that you didn't do, and that I arises, it doesn't matter what I believe. When it arises, like it's tangible, I can feel it. I can't deny that it's there.
Mm.
And then we have to use logical reasonings. But
Oh,
I don't know if the two are connected, but maybe
Oh.
somehow.
thank you, thank you.
So Rinpoche Yarpel brought up his example, and he used the term self-cherishing. And I think, my understanding is we're talking about self-grasping. Could you comment on the difference between the self-cherishing, because self-cherishing either arises with loneliness versus the self-grasping, which I think the text is directing us towards.
Self-grasping, self-cherishing, I think they are connected, very much so. But you're right here. I think we are talking about self-grasping. Yeah, and I think that's what you meant, right? Yes, yes, self-grasping, self-cherishing. Self-cherishing, self-grasping. To a certain extent, I think they go really something like together, you know, they operate together to a certain extent. And they complement each other, yes, yes. So they help each other, and then they, in a way, empower each other like that. Self-cherishing, self-grasping. At our level, at my level, then both these two are to differentiate is quite difficult. But of course, theoretically, in theory, they are two different things. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Is it possible that they both exist at the same time and they're both as real? That, you know, it's not dual, it's non-dual. That if you believe in the nihilism, it's true. If you believe in the existence, they also are true. And in the eyes of the Lord, He contains all of it. And so I accept however it is, and then try to develop my understanding to hold that.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, yes. I think in one sutra it mentions the world, the inhabitants of the world debate against me, but I do not debate against the inhabitants of the world. Right? I think there's one sutra like that. So that is true, I think. Yes, yes. So I think we just finished verse 67, right? Yes. Verse 67. Mm. Mindawani mimik chir. Tenam niga rigde min kiji yina ridme chir. Ningba gata kala shik tenchir kiji mayin nas. 68, verse 68. If a thing is momentary, then since it would cease to exist entirely, how could there be any ancientness? And if a thing is not momentary, then since it would remain the same, how could there be any ancientness? So, this is good, right? Yeah, okay. This needs no clarification. Okay. Okay, then I need some clarification. If a thing is momentary, then since it would cease to exist entirely, how could there be any ancientness?
In the earlier version of that text,
Oh,
say if a real
please, the mic, yes.
There's some nice parentheses here in the earlier version. It says, if a real thing is momentary, then since it would cease to exist entirely at each moment, how could anything be old? And if a real thing is non-momentary, then since it would persist without change, how could there be anything old?
Oh, it's very clear. Thank you. Thank you. Chidar kijik tayuba teshin todan yu da gu. Tedar kijik sum da chir jigdin kijik neba means. Verse 69, just as one conceives of a moment as having an end, so too one should conceive of it as having a beginning and middle. Since a moment has a threefold nature, the world does not remain for a moment. And what does the previous edition say?
Just as one conceives of a moment as having an end, so too one should conceive of it as having a beginning and middle, since a moment has a threefold temporal nature. The world does not remain for even a moment.
Thank you. Thank you. This edition you have, this was the original. This was published in.
Authors, but I guess sometimes progress is not progress.
Mm-hmm. So this was, I think.
This is the commemorative from His Holiness's visit. Yeah.
From '97, right?
Yeah.
From '97. I remember the book. I mean the cover of the book, not the contents though, but the cover of the book. Yes. Very helpful. Yes. Oh, you have the mic? Oh, very good. Jigdin kijik newa min thoma yudang tama yang kijik shindu samchena thoma yudang tama nis. As with the moment, one should also consider the tripart. Is it tripartite? Tripartite. Tripartite. Okay. As with the moment, one should also consider the tripartite nature of its beginning, middle, and end. There is no beginning, middle, or end, either in terms of itself or something else.
It only adds a little bit to that. As with a moment, one should also consider the tripartite nature of its beginning, middle, and end. There is no beginning, middle, or end that arises either from itself or something else.
Okay. So tripartite, I think like 3 parts, right? 3 parts. Oh, please.
We have 2 copies.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Then that way I can have some rest. This is, I think, what we call self-cherishing mind. Rāngshīn lēzhā mā yīnō, tādē chōchir jīgbū mīn chōmē pā nē kāyāng mē, jīg mē pār nē tōmā tā yuabā mē pār mē pāng mēs. There are no singular things because they have many spatial parts. And there isn't anything that lacks spatial parts. Without the singular, there cannot be the many. Without the existent, there cannot be the non-existent.
No material thing is a unitary whole because it has many directional parts. And there is no material thing that does not have directional parts. Without the unitary whole, there cannot be the many parts. Without the existent, there cannot be the non-existent.
Brittany, do you have that edition? Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe if you have that edition, then you could read it. Okay, so then, where was it? 처음에 봐는 건 지금에 봐는 처음에 봐는 가임에 지금에 봐는 좀 시반 여번 매발 매밤에 시밤 함니 님보이 유니 매발 줄탕나 여바 시바 마인치 지밤 님보 치더 줄스 So verse 72, the existent would be non-existent due to either destruction or counteraction. But since the existent is impossible, how could there be destruction or counteraction? Verse 72.
The existent becomes non-existent because it either ceases on its own or is counteracted by something else. But since the existent is impossible, how could there be its cessation or counteragent?
Tejir nyangin dewayi jikden tendo di mijur jikden tadan denamshi shuna gyawa masung shoes. Therefore, the world is not actually diminished by obtaining nirvana. When asked whether there is any end to the world, the victor remained silent.
Therefore, ultimately, the world is not lessened by someone attaining nirvana. When asked whether there is any end to the world, the victor remains silent.
So, when the Buddha was asked about this, then the Buddha remained silent, because if the Buddha had answered, there is no end to the world, then this would increase, realist view. And if the Buddha had agreed with this question, then this would have increased the nihilist view. So therefore, the Buddha remained silent. 강지르 대달 사베 추 누민 돌아 미송와 티니치나 케남기 균겐 탐제 캠버시스. The wise understand that the omniscient one is indeed omniscient because he did not teach the profundity that is the Dharma to beings who were not suitable vessels.
The wise understand that the omniscient one is indeed omniscient because he did not teach the profound dharmas to beings who were not suitable vessels.
I think for now, maybe at this point, I think I will actually not at this point. So something like who were not suitable vessels. To stop at that, not so auspicious. So then to continue, I think to continue, where were we? Tedara ngebar legweche samu yongsu zin mejing neme bani zoksange tamje sikwa namgi sungs. Thus the all-seeing, fully awakened Buddhas have said the Dharma of the highest good is profound and cannot be made one's own. It also lacks any foundation.
Thus, the all-seeing complete Buddhas have said that the Dharma of the highest good is profound, devoid of grasping, and also without any foundation.
Neme chudi dawayi kiwu nela ngyogashi yeda mele mandeba mihe namni pungor jururs. Persons who delight in foundations not having transcended existence and non-existence are terrified by this foundationless Dharma, and being fools, they are devastated.
But persons who delight in foundations not having transcended notions of existence and non-existence are terrified by this foundationless Dharma, and, being unskilled, they are devastated.
Jingmin neji teta ne pungla shen pungwar chi gyabu pungwa teta ki jine me pung teta ki gyabu kyune me pungwar gile chikden degi zu nila me de yangdawa chi shin lungka wangi she. Tegdan sunam chawa de samu trewe tuandan de modi shen da rangi yan neme chikbe manyangbaw. Kibu sami chumayi meme lumi namkame namshe mayi kyume na tela shena kibu kangs. Terrified of that fearless state, devastated, they lead others to devastation. See to it, O king, that no matter what, you are not led to devastation by those already devastated. King, so that you might not be devastated, I will explain in accord with the scriptures this correct, transcendent approach that does not rely on duality. Transcending deeds, both vicious and virtuous, it is the profound, explicated and meaningful. Others, the Tirthikas, and even some of our own have not tasted it, for they fear the foundationless. A person is not earth, not water, not fire, not wind, not space, nor is it consciousness. And if it is not all of these, what else could a person be?
Terrified of that fearless state, devastated, they lead others to devastation. See to it, O king, that no matter what, you are not led to devastation by those already devastated. King, so that you might not be devastated, I will explain in accord with the scriptures this correct, transcendent approach that does not rely on the two extremes. Beyond both sin and merit, it is the profound meaning derived from the scriptures. Other philosophers, such as the Tirthikas and even some of our own, have not tasted it, for they fear the foundationless. The person is not earth, nor water, fire, wind, or space, nor is it consciousness, and if it is not all of these together, what other thing could the person be?
So I think this is a good verse. Something like opening, what else could a person be, So then I think, shall we have some, I don't know, shall we continue? Shall we continue with your questions, sharings, anything?
Thank you, Rinpoche, for your patience and guidance. I've been simmering on this question. You had said it earlier that the subtlety of karma is beyond conception. Along that lines, you also said that cause and effect is not specific, but that it's on the continuum. And as I understand, the continuum is that moving towards the path of realization. So as we are on that path and are creating karmic actions, I wanted to go back to virtuous actions. In the virtuous action, there's always a doer. And since there's always a doer, there's always the tainted inherent I. And so I'm conflicted because I'm on this path to create virtuous action, but there's always this subtle I that keeps me in the state of inherent cyclic existence. So at what point can I move using what I've accumulated to move closer to a state of seeing or realizing the ultimate, the liberation, and which is emptiness? Is there such a thing as a pure virtuous deed? Because I don't know how we can move beyond that cyclic existence because of that subtle I that is so deep.
Oh, thank you. Yes, even at our level where we are at, somehow always we have this, the shadow of the habitual I always is like with us, right? In a way, on that level, then yes, definitely, we can have virtuous actions, not only just virtuous acts, but also pure virtuous actions. I think in the Lamrim it mentions how our human existence, how that came about, how we achieved this human rebirth, this fortunate human rebirth, is that in the past, having, ethical conduct as the base, and then something like sustained by the 6 perfection practices, and then something like connecting all those causes to our current human rebirth is the pure aspiration, pure dedication, which connects all those causes that we have accumulated to this present human rebirth we have, that we are in, that we have. So that is pure virtue there, right? The pure aspiration. So for sure, we have pure virtue, even though we as a person, we also have this habitual I. So they do not conflict each other in this way.
But as long as there is the doer, I said, and the subtle I, isn't our motivation, our action, and our dedication, including rejoicing, isn't that also tainted? And so how can we move from inherent cyclic existence? And I think of the word transcend, because we've been interacting with that word transcend. At what I take it to be to move beyond. What is it that's going to take us beyond?
Oh yes.
As well.
Oh, this, I missed this part. So, yes, to transcend this rebirth, then of course wisdom, right? Of course wisdom, the non-dual wisdom. Only through that we can transcend rebirth. Only through that. And for that, of course, then to plant the seeds of wisdom, this is, I think, what all of our the hearing the Dharma and reflecting on the Dharma and meditating, habituating with Dharma, in all those stages, then that is exactly what we are doing, planting the seeds and also södava, something like then to also ripen, to ripen the seeds of wisdom, to ripen the seeds of wisdom like this. And when we also bring in bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta, and then combine that with our ultimate bodhicitta practice, then this is also ripening the Buddha nature, right? Tathagata karma. So this is what the Buddha taught us in order to transcend liberation, to transcend samsara, and also to transcend this one-sided liberation as well. Yes.
I'm not clear yet, but I'll process it. Yeah.
Oh.
Because it really sat with me when you said the subtlety of karma is beyond conception.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because in our conventional way that, meaning in our practice of conceptually of saying the I inherently doesn't exist, or when we try to negate it. But we're still the doer with all of our aggregates.
Mhm.
So it's still tainted, so we're still in this inherent, in samsara.
Yes.
So
For the time being.
but we're still trying to do the virtue, but how can we transcend that to move towards that path of seeing and realization?
Well, it all begins with renunciation, you know. Rinpoche, said it like the three principal aspects of the path, right? So there is this something like steps towards that. So the first step is renunciation, and then bodhicitta, and then wisdom, right? So I think by practicing these three, then we try, and to transcend samsara. That takes time and effort. Time and effort. In the meantime, then to really renunciation happen out of nothing, of course not. Then it really requires us to change our lifestyle, to make lifestyle changes, to change our behavior, to change our thinking, our worldview, and really, not sort of not just making changes on the surface, but really changing at the core, changing at the core. And this, of course, through mindfulness, through self-reflection, really through self-reflection, and through concentration, single-pointed concentration. In a way, single-pointed concentration is to never lose sight of the goal, to always be dedicated, That single-pointed dedication, I think, is a practice of single-pointed concentration. So, to really engage in the three higher trainings, to engage in that, to engage in the three higher trainings, and really to in a way, this term, to educate ourselves, but in one way, then it is something like to sort of undo all the educations that we have, right? To unlearn what we have learned so far. Because right now, we have learned so many things which have really, in a way, empowered our self-grasping, our self-cherishing. So to really undo all of that, and that's, I think, what this going beyond, right, transcending, going beyond requires to really unlearn all the worldly things we have learned, to really yeah, to stop that, you know, to not again fall into the same pattern. And of course, that requires lots of effort and introspection, lots of introspection, lots. And critical thinking. That's, I think, so important, to be able to criticize oneself, not to the point of low self-esteem, of course not to a damaging level, not at all, but to be able to be balanced, to be able just to be fair, not to others but also to oneself as well, and not going out of that then to criticize oneself, to see the mistakes in one's behavior, in one's speech, in one's mind, in one's motivation, in our desire, to see the faults in our desire, to see the faults in our anger, and the various forms of anger that we have. I think one is something called passive-aggressive. Passive-aggressive. All of this. And these days, modern psychology is very helpful. Modern psychology, it's like, you know, interdependence. Modern psychology, to a certain point, have learned so much from the Eastern traditions, you know, and at the same time, then they have really sort of created all these new models and used many terms which are also helpful to a certain extent, of course. So there are so many things that we can learn when it comes to our mind. So I think it really, it's something like this Gotamjine, we say, like from all the doors, you know, from all using all the space, to utilize all of our mind space, then to bring, to really bring the potential of the mind to the fore, up front, you know. Forefront, thank you. Forefront. So that is transcending samsara. Can I do that now? No. Of course not. But I have to make my efforts. You know, I have to not give up. There was a, you know, there's that, like all these verses that is attributed to His Holiness. Never give up, you know, and those verses, that's very helpful. But just that first line, you know, never give up, and to never give up on your wishes, you know, to never give up. And as long as you don't give up, then it's simply a question of time. It's simply just that, and you just continue. Yes?
So just to clarify, I know we have to go, that you're saying that there is a virtue that is pure that exists.
Yes.
And that, does it exist on the path of seeing and realization as opposed to conventionally and conceptually?
This pure virtue,
yes.
It exists now. You have it.
I don't know, I think I'm tainted.
Pure
I-
virtue, pure virtue can be tainted by self-grasping, but it is still pure. It is not tainted by the 8 worldly concerns. So,
But-
pure in the sense that it is not tainted by 8 worldly concerns. We can go with that definition for the time being. Yes? And that's, I think, what the Lamrim is referring to, because on that level, of course, there isn't anything in our mind that is not tainted by self-grasping, right? So this pure aspiration, pure in the sense that it is not tainted by the 8 worldly concerns. So we have to.
So you're saying aspiration, which I think is motivation and aspiration,
Mhm.
which I think earlier, it is also tainted.
By
There's a
self-grasping,
That
but
by
it-
self-grasping, selfishness, relating to 12 links of dependent origination.
8 worldly concerns,
Yeah.
that I think we can work towards, that we can work on it. We can work on our motivation so that it is not tainted by the 8 worldly dharmas. That is definitely possible in this life. In this life. Yes. And we don't need to receive high empowerments to do that. We don't have to do long retreats to do that. That is definitely possible. Yes. And I think you have it. I think you have it. And I think you have it. So what more can I say? Yes, thank you. Thank you. 사진 베게 조심해도 너무 리저블리신인데 상계신도 민대고 두근 남다지는 저거라 저 이다마 고로라나면 니안다야메